This is Democracy,
a podcast that explores the interracial, intergenerational, and intersectional
unheard voices living in the world's
most influential democracy.
Welcome to our new episode of This is Democracy. Today, we are going to mark the beginning of the school year. In many parts of our country, students have either returned to school in the last week or they are in the process of returning to school. Here in Austin, our public schools begin this week. And we have with us to talk about the beginnings of the school year, we have with us two students here in the Austin Independent School District. They are familiar to our audience and familiar to me, of course. We have Natalie Suri.
Hello.
Hello, Natalie. Natalie is in high school.
Yes.
Yes. You're going into your junior year, correct?
Yes.
And we have
Very exciting.
It is very exciting. It is very exciting. And we have Zachary Suri with us as well. Hello, Zachary.
Hello.
And you are starting high school, right, Zachary?
Yep.
Excellent. Ninth grade, right?
Yeah.
Ninth grade. And
That's when high school starts.
That's right. That's right. And in order to start us off on our discussion, Zachary has written a poem about going back to school. And we hope it's a positive, optimistic poem. Zachary, right?
Yes.
Okay, let's hear your poem.
Ode to my school. This is an ode to my school, a soliloquy to the slowness, the peace of a school set under the sunlit rafters of Koenig Lane's siesta. And this is a river to collect the tears of all her homesick fledglings beginning to fly. This is an ode to my school, an ode to all my rainy mornings stepping on the puddles of Never Never Land. This is an ode to all the constitutional legalities screamed down the concrete steps of the construction yards of the mind. This, my friends, is an ode to all the times I ran my hand across the old railings of the building that tricked so many a sleepless scholar. This is an ode to all the scratched records I have spun under the stucco of aging ceilings. And this is an ode to all the soothsayers, to all the quiet, luminary, visionary, revolutionary, daily readers of the entrails of your soul, who look to us each day to find which way the wind blows. Yet somehow an ode does not suffice to capture the life between the sacred rituals and the Latin conjugated verbial contraptions. An ode does not suffice to tell of all this, for there is something about this place that cannot be expressed in words. I can only say that it is the feeling of sinking into an old couch that you have known for many years.
That's a very affectionate poem for school. What's your message?
Well, my poem is really about how much school and the environment that it creates is a part of our lives, and how it becomes a second home and a sort of respite for us. But at the same time, it's a very stressful and engaging institution.
And what's your message for kids, maybe like yourself today, who are a little afraid to be entering high school or entering a new school?
Well, I think, too, that every year sort of brings new opportunities and new experiences, and to be able to do that with a community that's like there specifically for that purpose is a really special experience.
Mm-hmm. Natalie, do you agree? Is that your message for kids starting in new schools today? That it's a comfortable home-like environment?
Yeah, definitely. I think that that's what it's supposed to be, and if it's not, I feel like especially at a public school, there's so many different people, you just have to put yourself out there, and yeah, I definitely believe that school is supposed to be your home. For some kids, it's the only consistent part of their lives, so if it's important that, so if it's like not working out, it's important that it's fixed.
That's right.
That was very vague.
No, I think that makes sense. And one thing, Natalie, that's often an issue at schools is how political issues get handled, right? We live in a very political time. I know that for you and your friends, many of the issues that they're seeing on TV and hearing about and over social media are important to them. How does your school deal with political issues? Do teachers and students have an opportunity to discuss them, and how do they discuss them?
Well, teachers, I'm pretty sure it's a rule, but they don't really talk to the class about their political views, but you can usually tell you can just usually tell. But well, me and my friends, it depends on like how close you are and stuff. But some of my friends, we talk a lot about the political issues revolving around like sexual orientations, and we also talk a lot about like sometimes we'll just talk about how much we don't like Trump, but like we don't really talk about specific issues because that's not really our main like interest, and yeah. I guess that's a problem to a certain extent because we're not as politically involved, but it's also if there's like something really important, for example, like my close friends care about gun violence. So if there's like someone asked us to like sign a petition about gun violence, then we would all do it. But we're not like super like we don't know like everything going on. Like I don't really know, like even I don't really know most of the various little details.
Some people are concerned that young women and men like yourself are not as politically engaged, that you've turned off to politics. Do you agree with that or do you disagree with that?
Well, when something's really important to us, we'll do something about it, but we don't like follow, like we don't know like each like bill that's being passed. But I think that's okay because I think that when you're young, it's not supposed to be your main focus.
Mm-hmm. Zachary, what do you think?
Well, I think that's really what the challenge of media and of politicians today is, to make those issues important to young people. I don't think it's necessarily young people's role to make politics interesting for themselves. I think we need to make politics practical and pragmatic to the fact that it actually influences people's lives. And I think in many ways Natalie's point that young people don't necessarily need to be deeply involved in the established politics of the day is actually one that is very heartening, because it shows us how young people are innocent and they're trying to learn more about politics so that they can change politics.
Right, and school can be a place where they learn and form their own opinions, not necessarily just the opinions of their parents. One area, and Natalie, you referred to this already, where certainly I've observed a great deal of change, is in the discussions around sexual orientation. It does seem that young people in high school and other grades are more comfortable talking about those issues and more comfortable with other young people who have made a variety of different kinds of choices. Is that true? Is that an important issue for your generation?
Yeah, definitely. Really, something really new to our generation is that there's now like this gender spectrum. There's a sexuality spectrum. It's not as black and white. So there's people who are saying that they're bisexual or that they're more gay than straight, but that they're also both. Like there's lots of different things people can be, there's a lot of people who like transgender. That's a lot more accepted. For example, for my theater assignment, or not assignment, for signing up for like a theater convention, we had to like talk about if we were okay staying with a transgender person. So that's definitely a new thing.
Mm-hmm. And you think that's good?
Yeah, I think that's good. I think people should be allowed to express themselves and be whoever they want. It can be a little like awkward sometimes if you don't feel the same way and you're in a conversation or people are telling you you're something because you act a certain way that you're not. But that's also just me. That's not really.
Mm-hmm.
But are people of different sexual orientation and gender orientation, are they accepted into school life?
Yeah,
as they
very
should
much
be?
so. And the groups I hang out with, I think I do theater at my school, and I think that's an area where there's especially it's especially really accepted.
What about in athletics? Because you're also in basketball and things of that sort.
In basketball, yeah, I mean it's like two different worlds, but I've never experienced a problem with or heard about a problem where someone was discriminated against because of that.
What would you say to some observers and sometimes some parents who say this is not a good thing, that this is a distraction and that young people shouldn't be talking about these things? Obviously you don't agree with that. What would you say?
I think it's not their place to decide that because they're on the outskirts. And that's just kind of a conceited thing to like. If your kid was like struggling with their identity, like I don't see what the problem would be with experimenting. It's not super harmful. Like there's ways you can do it in a non-way that actually changes your body.
And so you
yeah.
see this as a real opportunity for freedom in school in that sense. How does this connect to the curriculum and what you learn in school? Is your curriculum open to creativity and different identities, or is it not?
It's open to creativity in the sense that and especially in the humanities, we do a lot of projects. Like there's a lot of opportunities for projects in essays. Sometimes there's been you're allowed to really just express yourself in like your own writing style that's not like super like rigid to a rubric. But the parts I got really frustrated because multiple choice tests are a very rigid and kind of unfair way to test whether or not you know something, because a lot of times I experience, and I know I've talked to my friends and they feel the same way, that you know it, but you just you know the information like decently, the questions just go over your head and you can't really show the teachers that you know it. But I also understand that there's so many students, it's not really a way around it.
Right. But you think there's too much testing, particularly in Texas?
Yeah.
Zachary, what do you think?
Well, I definitely think that there's way too much emphasis on standardized tests. And I do think that often curriculum is taught as if everything is factual in a way that prevents students from being able to form their own opinions, which I think is a skill that in some ways our society is lacking in. And I think it's something that we should make sure that our younger generations learn for the future, because I think it's something that's going to be really important in politics when it comes to democratic change and just in life in general.
Right. And on that note, on the formation of opinions and the understanding and interpreting of the world around us, how do you find the curriculum and other school activities address issues of racism? Natalie, racism, sexism, these are issues that obviously come up a lot in our society today. They're old issues, but they're issues, of course, that are still with us. How do these issues come up for you at school?
Well, I've never encountered like a racist student, or like no one's been like explicitly racist, but I do feel like I'm in two different worlds, because as in like AP classes are mainly like majority like white, like what you would expect, and more of like higher social class, whereas regular classes are the opposite, like mainly like Hispanic or African American and lower social classes. So
people with lower family incomes.
That was a weird way. Family incomes. And I feel like there could be more done to encourage the people, because I'm sure I've met a lot of people in the regular classes who are actually very smart, just afraid to try the higher level classes.
Why do you think that is? Why is there this bifurcation? I think it's true at many schools around our country today. Bifurcation between schools and also within schools, between certain groups that are in certain kinds of classes and certain groups that are in other kinds of classes.
I honestly don't know. It's something I've been thinking about a lot, and I just can't find an answer that makes sense.
Zachary, what do you think?
Well, I think I think that I haven't had the same experience that Natalie's talking about a sort of bifurcation, but I do think there's not enough resources put in the public school system to encourage gifted and talented programs and people who are who have a higher who are ahead of their peers when it comes to learning. There's not enough resources put into encouraging those kids and getting them into higher classes. And part of the problem is that the public school system has to handle kids who have special needs when it comes to education and kids who are ahead of the curve. And so it's really hard for our overburdened public schools to find ways to solve this problem.
Mm-hmm.
Also, people who feel like they learn like a different way or have a slight like learning like kind of difference, they feel it's not really, it's like also like it's a feeling of feeling like an outcast in the AP class. So even though you can do it, a person could do it, they would just need more time and possibly like more tutoring and more help and would have to work a little harder than some other people. They still feel like they'd be an outcast, and no one wants to be like the stupid kid.
Right.
Like, that's
right.
not
right. No one wants to be
like
ostracized.
Another fear, but I don't think that has anything to do with like races. I guess that's just also how you're brought up. I don't know.
But I think too that that kids are very unaware of issues of, at least at my middle school, which was a private middle school, of of the issues of de facto segregation in our
Right,
society,
right.
and the ways in which our city, Austin, which is one of the most segregated cities in the country, the ways in which economics and race play a major role in how you get educated and what careers you take and what colleges you go to. And I think we really need to discuss that a lot more because it's something that affects our society and our generation deeply.
And with it being clear that this is a major issue in all schools, what would you do about it, Natalie? If you could address this issue, how would you try to deal with the divisions along racial and economic lines that are in your school and so many others?
Well, I don't know. That's a really hard question. But one of the things that I know I would do is I would create more. I would make learning seem more fun and more cool, and
Yes.
I would share my experiences and various things about how you're smart, just you learn differently, and sometimes that doesn't, like my experience with like how like there's like a very enclosed box for like learning problems, then there's oftentimes you don't fit inside the box, and like different things you can do and how you're just as smart, and just different ways of learning and how cool it can be when you learn stuff. And then I would create have like more free tutoring, maybe. Like I know there's a lot of tutoring hours, but encourage it more.
Right, so people would be able to seek out help without feeling they're dumb for asking for help.
And also,
right?
I would share with them that everyone thinks that other people are paying more attention to them than they actually are, so that they should try. Like I would encourage them to try the higher level classes, but I also wouldn't demean them for
Right.
sticking with the lower level classes.
Right. Zachary?
Well, I think, I feel like sometimes, in many ways, the solutions are out there. We just need to invest our time, our energy, and our money in it, because I think the solutions to ending segregation have been there the whole time. We just need to actually recognize that it's a problem in our society, and that segregation didn't just end with the 1968 Voting Rights Act.
1965.
65 Voting Rights Act. That it's something that's been going on continuously for centuries. And at the same time, I definitely think that what Natalie said is really powerful. I think we need to emphasize that every student is different and that every student learns in a different way. And I think we need to put more resources into teachers who recognize that, into hiring, and to encouraging young people to go into teaching and public service.
Right. Well, and this takes us to another topic I wanted to make sure we discuss, because I think you have, both of you and other young people have insights that often aren't listened to, the role of technology. Many parents, many administrators are worried about social media, about cyberbullying and things of that sort, also about the proliferation of non-fact-based sites. But on the other hand, technology also offers opportunities, right? The opportunity to be able to do research in a way you couldn't before.
Tutorial
videos, Khan Academy, things of that sort. So what are your thoughts? If you were asked, as I'm asking you now, how could schools more effectively use technology to help young people learn and to combat the misuses of technology, what would you say, Natalie?
So I would say that it's actually, I don't think it's really the school's place to monitor social media and like students' time on computers, because it's up to them how much effort they want to put into their education, especially in high school. But I think that, I really think that the school actually does a good job of encouraging tutoring sites, and we do a lot of conserving paper, because we do a lot of online tests. But it's also slightly easier to cheat on the computer, but I also think they have a good solution to that, because they use GoGuardian. Mm-hmm. But I know your question was about what they could do better, and I don't really know. I honestly personally prefer written stuff.
Mm-hmm. So you'd want that option to do things in writing. Zachary, what do you think?
Well, I think that that technology offers a real opportunity, because like what Natalie's talking about people having different learning styles, technology allows teachers to help students in many different ways for many different learning styles, because there's so many different resources out there to help you. Like personally, I'm someone who's an auditory learner, and so I can go online and find radio programs or things that help explain a topic to me, while someone who's a visual learner can go on YouTube and find a video. And I think that's really helpful. But at the same time, there is a lot of misuse of technology, and even in like a school environment, there's people who are very who are very academic and very smart can still often fall into the trap of getting overly involved in technology. And I think it's something that we just need to teach kids how to be better cyber citizens and how to be better people on the internet who are responsible for their own information and for others.
I definitely agree. There's definitely a huge distraction with this technology that almost balances out the good it does in some cases.
Do you have conversations at school about what the best ways are to use technology and what the best etiquette is in communicating with people?
Not honestly. I mean, not really. No, but I don't know if that's like a good or bad thing.
Well, don't you think that would be useful? Do you think so?
Yeah, maybe, but I don't know how much there is to it. You should if you're so distracted by it, you should just delete the app.
Right.
You should I don't know how much they would actually talk about it.
Right. So what I wanted to close on today, because it's great to have the voices of students rather than just the voices of administrators and teachers. What are the best things that our schools are doing today? Why is school such an important part of our world? We hear so many criticisms from all directions. What are the good things? What are the things that make our schools work? What are the things you appreciate about school that we should all be appreciating as we send our kids and we ourselves go off to school for the new school year? Natalie?
I love the community and just the opportunity to reinvent yourself because there's so many people. So in different classes, you can almost reinvent yourself. The community, the people you meet, it's just a good time in your life. You're figuring everything out, and there's so many people there to support you in your high school. You meet so many mentors and so many good people, and it really is a home away from home because of all the. It's each day at lunch you catch up with your friends. It's it's just, I really like it.
And the vast majority of teachers really care, don't they?
Yeah, there's at least, for every bad teacher, there's at least one teacher for every terrible teacher, there's at least one teacher who really, really cares. So that's good.
That's probably as good a ratio as we're going to get. Zachary, what are your thoughts?
I really think that what makes school so special are the teachers and the students. And I feel like you can have a school that has that does nothing but that well. And I think you can still have an amazing environment. And I think that meeting so many other young people that are like yourself and finding experiences to grow by meeting new people and meeting new teachers, I think is something that's a really important opportunity. And how much many of our teachers care and how much they sacrifice for our education is something that really makes you work hard and incentivizes you to make good use of your time.
Yeah. And it's when you have a really good teacher that really changes you, it's so great, and it's really cool.
It's an amazing experience.
Well, I thank you both, Natalie and Zachary, for sharing your thoughts. I think too often when we talk about school, we don't actually hear the voices of the students in school.
We should get other students.
Absolutely. We should have more students on it. What you remind us in your comments today is how a vibrant democracy needs vibrant schools, and the schools are made vibrant by the kids and the teachers in the buildings. And that's why the beginning of the school year is such an optimistic time, because as Natalie said so well, it's a time for new friends, new connections, and as Zachary said, a time to learn and reconnect with different people. And so we're really lucky to be able to have the beginning of the school year and to talk about it here. Thank you for joining us on this episode of This Is Democracy.
This podcast is produced by the Liberal Arts Development Studio and the College of Liberal Arts at the University of Texas at Austin.
The music in this episode was written and recorded by Harrison Lemke, and you can find his music at harrisonlemke.com.
Subscribe and stay tuned for a new episode every Thursday featuring new perspectives on democracy.